Efren here with Cardsphere, and today we're going to go over the wants page. This tutorial is going to cover everything on the wants page and just explain what every field does and how you can manipulate these to best get the cards you want. Okay, so let's get started. First thing, to get to the wants page, obviously you're going to click on wants. And one thing I do want to point out, in case it's not obvious, you do need a balance. You do need a balance before you can receive any cards on Cardsphere. So adding cards to your wants, other traders are only going to be matched with you if you have enough balance to cover the want that you're setting. So if I wanted this a braid, I would have to have $7.14 in my account minimum, and so on. So just keep in mind that people are only going to be matched with you if you have enough money in your account to cover the want that you're hoping to get. Okay, so we're going to see what it's like to just add a, let's say I want an Expedition Godless Shrine. Okay, so I'm going to just simply start typing in here, and Cardsphere is going to try and predict which card you want. So it's suggesting the Godless Shrine, so I'm going to go ahead and click on it. From there, I'm going to go over to sets, and I said that I was going to do Expedition, but as you can see, it has all different editions of Godless Shrine here. I'm going to click on the Expedition one here. If you don't care which version you get, you can just select all. But I'm specifically after the Zendikar Expedition, so I'm going to click that one, and it's going to show me the price here. That one's going for $78.96 at index price. Then we're going to go over to condition. I can accept multiple conditions if I want. And you should take note here of the percentages. This is the way that Cardsphere marks down the price depending on the condition the card is in. So near mint is going to be 100% of index value, slightly played 90%, moderately played 75%, and heavily played 60%. So if I click more than one, you can see down here on the bottom, this is always going to show you what your offer is currently on your want. So since I clicked both near mint and slightly played, it has two different prices here. So it's either going to be $71.06 or $78.96. But let's say I only want a near mint card. I'm going to come back up here then and uncheck the slightly played. You see it's going to go back here to $78.96, which is the current index price, and then I can move on. Now finish, it's either going to have foil or non-foil, but as you can see, since expeditions are only in foil, I only have the foil option available. If I had selected more than one, then I can choose to accept foil or non-foil. Of course, if I get the Zendikar expedition, it's only going to come in foil. But if I wasn't after that one, I can select the multiple ones, and I can choose. Maybe I don't care if I get foil or not. I can check one or the other. But like I said, we're going after the expedition here, so it's only going to have that foil option. Languages is another self-explanatory one. You can select whatever language you want. There's some people who like to go after Russian foils, I know that. But any language here can be accepted on Cardsphere. The next one is where people kind of get hosed up. So we're going to spend a little time talking about offer percentage and price limit. And we're going to cover price limit first because a lot of people get mixed up on what exactly this means. This is only a limit. This is not an offer on a card. This is only to protect you in case the price of the card goes up and it goes to a price you don't want to pay. Let's say there's a buyout or a card starts performing really well and the price goes up. You're never going to pay more than whatever price you set here. So if I put $100 here, no matter what the price of the Godless Shrine goes to, it could go to $3,000 tomorrow. No one's ever going to be able to send me a card for more than $100. But that's not an offer. That's not saying that you're offering $100. That is controlled by the offer percentage, which is over here. And you can see when I hover over it, it says your offer as a percentage of the index price. So I'm going to go by and offer, let's say I'm going to offer around 90%. I want to try and get it for around $70. My price limit's automatically going to be adjusted to 10% over what my offer is. So as you can see, my price limit is automatically adjusted to $78.96. And I'll let you know that if you want to know what offer to set, a lot of people come in and say, how do I know what percentage to set? We have a whole other video just covering that. So I'll put a little tooltip here and you can click over there. It's called Pro Tips Setting Your Offers. So if you want to know more about how to set a good offer, go ahead and check out that video. Okay, so now let's go over to status. Status is another one of these fields that is pretty self-explanatory. Your wants, they're either active or paused. If it's active and you have enough funds, somebody can send you the card. If it's paused, then even if you do have enough funds, they're not going to be able to send you the card. So why would you want a card on your wants that is paused? Well, maybe you would prefer, you do want the card eventually, but you'd prefer to get other cards first. You can pause it, that way it stays on your list and you can come back to it later. Okay, so I do want this card, so I'm going to leave it active. And then quantity just sets the number that you want. Let's say I'm going to add this to a commander deck, so I'm just going to leave the quantity to 1. Okay, so now we'll move down to tags. Now tags is a way for you to catalog your wants and also your collection, so that you can better easily navigate them, sort through them. And also, if you have a lot of cards on your wants, sometimes somebody sends you a card and you don't really remember why it was there. So if you tag it, that kind of helps you remember what the card's purpose is. So on this want, for example, let's say if I'm putting this in, and let's say I'm making a commander deck of an Alinda, the Dusk Rose. So I'm going to click a tag here. You see it already has all the tags that I've created before, but I'm going to make a new one. I'm just going to type Alinda EDH. So I'm going to click new tag. Okay, so now when I add this to my want, it's going to be tagged with Alinda EDH. And then I click want, and you see it shows up down here with all the information I just put in. There's the Godless Shrine. There's an image of it. This is the set that I'm after, the Zendikar Expedition. There's my offer, the percentage, and then my maximum price limit. All right, then it tells me the finish is in foil. It shows me the tag, so I know where it's going to go. I'm accepting in English. And last modified date is the last date I either entered it or changed it. And then finally over here, it shows that the card is active. So that's pretty much it for adding wants from the wants page. It's somewhat self-explanatory, but I know some people there's so many fields here to manipulate that some people kind of get confused. So we're going to cover the next 2 tabs, which is filters and actions. Now these 2 are only for manipulating the wants that you already have. So filters is kind of just like it sounds. It's a way for you to kind of dig down in your sends, in your wants. As you can see here from my wants, I want a total of 265 cards. It would take a while to scroll all the way down and find exactly the card I'm looking for. So let's say this card, Monastery Mentor, I don't want it anymore. But I don't want to scroll through and look for it. I can kind of filter down here. I can either do that by name. So I just did a 3-character search and it brought up Monastery Mentor. I can also search by tag. You can really search by any of the fields here. You can search by set, by condition, by the status, language, finish, and you can also filter by index price. So let's say you only had $10 in your account and you wanted to see exactly which cards on your want list you can afford. You can go here to index price below and just set it to $10. And then when you filter down, that'll only show obviously your listed cards that are below $10. So you see here there are some instances where it shows it's more, but that's because you're wanting different editions. So there are some editions here that are under $10. Like if we drill down on this Ancient Grudge, we can make it non-foil, because since we're accepting both, and change the editions. If we get the regular Innistrad one, it's only 25 cents. So that's why that would show up there. But that's going to show you only your ones that are $10 or below. So if you're looking for a way to get a good card out of what you have, you can kind of drill that down, especially if you're building a deck and you want to see if you can afford some of the more expensive pieces. You can use these controls to narrow it down and see exactly what you can do with your balance that you've accumulated so far on Cardsphere. These are all self-explanatory. You can look for your highest offers, offer below, offer over, if you want cards in quantity, cards under quantity, or you can search by tags. So if I wanted to find that Alinda one or all the cards coming in for my Alinda deck, I can come and select the Alinda tag and then filter it down. And it'll show me, oops. Now the reason it's blank here is because I left the other one filled out with MON. So I'm going to hit the reset, clear out all those. Then I'm going to search for that Alinda tag. And it's going to filter down and show me just that one. This is really great if you're building a deck, because if you tag it, then you can just look at the wants on that deck and see how close you are to completing. For example, let's see here. Let's take a look at my Grixis Death Shadows deck and see how close I am. Let me reset and remove that Alinda tag. I can filter that and see all the cards on my Grixis Death Shadows deck. Now you'll see down here there's 75 cards, so I haven't received a single one for this deck. But that'll help you keep track of which cards you have coming in and where they're going to go and how close you are to completing your deck or your collection or whatever you're trying to do on Cardsphere. Tags are a great way to do that. And keep in mind with premium, you do have unlimited tags. So if you're like me and you really like to take advantage of tags, you should check premium out. Okay, so the last column we're going to go with is actions. Actions, the short of it is actions basically just does the same actions that you have on wants and wants, or as far as changing, adding, removing, setting prices, but it'll apply to a number of cards at one time. And those cards are the ones that are shown or hidden here by the filters, and I'll show you what that means. So let's again take this Grixis Death Shadow. And let's say I decided I didn't want Grixis Death Shadow anymore. I'm not interested in playing it. So what I would do here is come back to the filter page. I would look for my tag, Grixis Death Shadow, filter it down, and I'm going to look, and you can see the only cards that are shown here are the ones that are tagged with Grixis Death Shadow. So on my Actions tab, I can then change these ones that are shown here, or I can change the ones that I don't see here. So let's say I didn't want this anymore. I can go delete, and it'll give me the option to delete all wants, which you don't want to do that. Delete all wants made visible by filter, or the wants hidden by filter. So if I only wanted to worry about my Death Shadows deck and nothing else, I can delete all the ones hidden by filter, because all we're seeing right now is Death Shadow. But that's not what I want. I want to get rid of my Death Shadow deck. I'm not interested in playing anymore. So I'm going to double check what my filter is showing. My filter is only showing Grixis Death Shadow. So I'm going to go to delete, and I'm going to say delete all the wants made visible by filter. When I hit delete, all those Death Shadow ones go away. But when I remove that filter, you see all my other wants are still here. Now this is really good if you want to focus on, you see for example here I have a lot of decks, but let's say I wanted to focus on this Modern Dredge deck. I only have a limited amount of money in my funds. I want to make sure I get the Modern Dredge first. So what I can do is I can filter down with the tags and select the Modern Dredge. Filter it down. Now I'm only seeing Modern Dredge. Now what I can do here is two things. You see some of these are paused. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come to Actions, and I'm going to set Status. I'm going to set the status visible by filter, which is Dredge. I'm going to make those active. I'm going to apply it. You'll see these all turn active. But now I'm going to go back to Actions, and I'm going to set Status as paused to anything that's hidden by the filter. So since I'm only seeing the Modern Dredge on the screen right now, when I hit this button, it's going to pause everything else that is not tagged with Modern Dredge. So I'm going to hit apply. You'll see this screen didn't change because I only applied to hidden items. I'm going to come back here and reset it, and you'll see everything that's not tagged with Dredge has been paused. Tasty EDH is paused, Miracles is paused. Do I have anything else left here? The Alenda one I just entered is paused. So that was a really great way to kind of focus in your trading efforts to a specific goal. So, and that example was if I wanted to finish this deck, I want other stuff, but forget that stuff. Those can come later. I only want Dredge. Using the tags and using the Actions page is a really great way to make those big changes that would take otherwise a long time going one by one. Okay, everything else here is pretty much the way it is on the Add Wants page. You can change quantities, change conditions, change offers, change price limits, and it's always going to give you the option of visible by filter or hidden by filter. So if I want to set condition to, let's say I really want that Dredge deck, and I'll take any condition just because I want to get it in and get it played. So I can set Modern Dredge, filter it down. Now I'm only looking at Dredge. I can go back here, set condition, and as long as I've had something filtered, it's going to give me these options to apply this change only to filtered or items that are not filtered, or everything. Okay, so let's say I'll take any condition. I just want to get this deck made. So I'm going to set condition wants made visible by filter, apply, and you'll see now it changes my offers. I'll accept any condition, and it of course changes the price here because, as I explained earlier, different conditions will cause a different price. Okay, so the last thing we're going to cover is the import button. The import button is a great way to import decks or other items that you're wanting to add to your collection. And I'm going to show you an example of that here. So I've downloaded a deck list for an Izzet Phoenix modern deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, and we'll cover all this in a moment. I'm just going to choose the file where I have my deck list, and this deck was downloaded from MTG Goldfish. So here's the deck Izzet Phoenix that I got from MTG Goldfish. Now, when you're making decks, the deck list never showed the addition of the card or anything like that. It just has a bunch of card names. So I'm going to use this set of fields here to kind of have some control over what actually gets added to my want list here. So when missing set is going to be what it does when there's a set name missing, and for most deck lists, there's never going to be a set list. So if I just want the least expensive set, it can automatically check prices and just put the least expensive set on my wants. Or it can be all applicable sets. If I'll take any version, to click that one. But keep in mind, when you do that, it's going to add specialty versions like Masterpieces and Expedition. So if you have stuff like Fetch Lands or anything on this list, it's going to add those very expensive versions to your want list. So in this example, I'm going to tell it to do the least expensive set. Okay. So if the deck list doesn't have a language, you can choose to ignore it or set to a specific language. I'm going to choose English. When missing condition, so here's where you can determine if you want, if you'll just want them all near mint or slightly played, heavily played, moderately played. I'm going to set to near mint by default, and then I can change that later if I want to. Quantity, when a missing quantity, I'm going to choose to ignore it because the deck really wants a specific quantity if you're building a deck. But if it's not, you can tell it to ignore the card, which is what I'm going to do, or you can set the quantity to whatever you like. I'm going to tell it to ignore because I want the exact deck that I downloaded from MTG Goldfish. When missing finish, so this is going to determine whether you want foil or non-foil. Most deck lists are not going to have a finish on there. I'm going to set to non-foil because I'm not interested in foiling out this deck just yet. I just want the non-foil ones because they're going to be least expensive. And then you can import wants as active or paused. I recommend setting it to paused so that you can go back and look at the cards in there, set all your prices, and make sure that you're only receiving cards that you want at the price that you want. So I'm going to do it as paused. Now, Cardsphere is automatically, when you import a whole bunch of wants, they're going to put you in vacation mode, so people won't just be able to come and unload all the cards onto you anyways. But I'm going to pause these anyways, even though it's going to put me in vacation mode, so that I can go and check out the different editions and see if maybe I want to get all matching lands or whatever. So I'm going to click on paused, and then I'm going to add a tag here because this is going to be a modern Izzet Phoenix. So I'm going to create a new tag. Okay, so now all these wants are going to be tagged as modern Izzet Phoenix. It's going to be easy for me to find them and manipulate them using the controls I showed you earlier. So now I'm just going to hit import, and the Cardsphere importer is going to do its thing. You're going to get a little gear icon here showing that it's working, and then it's going to show you the results. All right, now that was in real time. I didn't speed it up or anything. So now it's going to tell you how the last import job turned out. Here's your file name, izzetphoenix.txt. Status, from 32 entries, 32 cards were added, 75 total cards. So it matched every single card in that deck list. And then it shows the start and end time. As you can see, there was no special effects here or post-production. Took exactly the amount of time I showed. So now that we know all the entries were added, I can click away from here and then go to my wants and drill down and find those Izzet Phoenix deck. Let's do a refresh real quick. Now, as you can see, now that I refreshed, it shows that I'm in vacation mode. It automatically pauses when you import wants. That way, people can't just send you a whole bunch of cards before you're ready to set your prices and everything. Okay, so I'm going to clear the filter I used earlier when I was looking at Modern Dredge. And it's going to show all the cards here. You see the Modern Izzet Phoenix is already popping up. But I'm going to drill down here and click on Modern Izzet Phoenix and filter it. So now we can see all the Modern Izzet Phoenix card I just imported, and by default it has imported the least expensive version. For example, I'll click on this Flooded Strand here. We all know the older versions from Onslaught are more expensive by a significant margin. You see that it's $32, almost double the price here of the Cons version, and it automatically picked the lowest price version. and then set it paused. So once I go over this, I can make sure that everything looks good and the prices are where I want. For example, everything is imported 100%. Let's say I wanted to make this as least expensive as possible. So I'm going to go back to my actions and I'm going to set my offer. Everything on this deck, I'm going to set an offer of 70% and see how much of it I can get for a discount. We're going to click set offers made visible by filter and we're going to apply it. And now as you can see, it's changed all the cards for just this deck down to 70% and it has adjusted the prices for me. So now that I have it exactly where I want it, all I got to do is change the status and set it to active. And now I'm ready to receive cards and start building my modern Izzet Phoenix deck. Alright, and that covers it for the want page. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If there's any other questions that you would like covered on a revised version of this tutorial, which we will be doing pretty often, head down to the comment section and leave those comments, leave those questions, and we'll make sure it goes into the new version of this video, since we'll be updating these as we add new features and change different things on Cardsphere. You can also, of course, find us on our subreddit, reddit.com/r/Cardsphere. And on our Discord server, all those links will be in the description below. Check us out on Discord or hit us up on Twitter. A lot of ways you can get a hold of us here at Cardsphere. Again, this is Efren with Cardsphere. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next